Karibu sana and a very warm welcome to my show today. A show that is packed with high-wire political drama. Drama being drama, Arab drama, Ole drama, Sheikh drama, mama ya drama, zote pamoja. Yeah! And that is no exaggeration, because we are talking about the end of the handshake, or rather, the possible end of the handshake. What? And on the show, I dissect that topic very thoroughly. I go deep, so I'm sure you're going to have a great time. And you're also going to get a lot of information that you may not have. Karibu sana. But allow me a quick heads up in the form of a parable. Kwa lugha yetu ya taifa, huyu mke anataka kutoroka kutoka bwana yake. Kwa hivyo anabeba mizigo polepole. Leo amepeleka nguo 2, kesho amepeleka nguo 3, ile siku ingine viatu, kwa sababu huyu bwana si mume mzuri. Ako na censorship. Hataki aongee ukweli. Sasa inabidi ahame pole pole. I'm sure some of you have gotten that parable. Na ukiangalia link kwenye description area ya hii video, utaona mahali huyu bibi anatoroka pole pole. I'm sure you've gotten it. Well, let's not waste another second. Let's get down to serious political business. What do you think would happen if suddenly there was no handshake? What would happen if Raila Odinga suddenly withdrew from the handshake agreement with his brother President Uhuru Kenyatta? Well, we know one thing for sure. The deputy president's camp would be over the moon with joy, because it would mean BBI kwisha. It would mean what they call the invasion of the Jubilee Party kwisha. But think a little deep about it. In reality, what would happen? Now, this is one of the reasons why I don't like tanga politics. Because it is selfish politics. It is me first politics. Wananchi wajipange. I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but that is the truth. I have very many dear friends within Team Tanga. Yeah, people I respect, people I love. An old schoolmate I respect a lot. I have a friend, let me just call him Mr. K in Telegram, whom I really like. Yeah, we disagree on politics, but in my view, he's a good guy. Yeah, he's down to earth. He's not a pretender. I love such guys. I even have this female friend in Team Tanga. Yeah, she always comments in my videos. Even when I very harshly criticize Team Tanga, she supports. Yeah, and if I can use Kenyan language, hao watu wote ni watu wangu. Oh yes. But the truth has to be told. Mr. K recently came back to Telegram. He's been very busy, missing in action for quite a while. And I was surprised at how excited and happy I was to see him back. By the way, all the action is in my Telegram channel. Yeah, if you haven't joined, join immediately. There's no censorship. Kwa hivyo natoboanga mambo yote. Mi utoboa kila kitu. Yeah. Anyway, my apologies to my dear Tanga friends, but I have to speak the truth. The end of the handshake would mean ODM back in the trenches. It would also greatly weaken the Uhuru Kenyatta administration. yeah, it would be almost impossible for the president to get anything done. He would not have anywhere near the kind of political support he needs as president. The political stability we have had, yeah, of course, which Team Tangatanga is very determined to destroy, that political stability would vanish overnight. And as ordinary Kenyans, things become very difficult when there's no political stability. So, the question we need to confront head on, yeah, is there a possibility that the handshake could come to an abrupt end? The short answer to that, I'm afraid, is yes. Yeah. Now, James Orengo made some remarks over the weekend. Very scary remarks. If you listen carefully, just listen in. I'll be back in a bit.
In fact, he was warning President Uhuru to stop what he was calling machinations, if I can put it in different words. If he thinks that they cannot work properly with the president, I think the choice is, he's got a choice. Jaramogi made that choice. And I think the time has come for him to make that choice. Either he works with the government, because we as ODM, we are not in government. When cabinet meets, you will not find Raila Odinga there. You will not find Akuba there or Chris Lumbaka there. But there is a permanent seat in the cabinet for the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And the Constitution requires the cabinet to act collectively. So the time has come for him to make a choice. And President Uhuru should also show that he's the commander-in-chief. If they continue to provoke us, we are going to go into the trenches again to try and bring sanity to these characters. Because we elected to work with this government so that, the people receive services.
The message from Senator James Orengo was clear. And it was this: you people are pushing us too much. Just push us a little more and we're out. That's really what he was saying. He was saying they're not scared. They will not hesitate to abandon the handshake without notice. While I'm using Senator Orengo's remarks as evidence, to show us what is really going on in the hearts and minds of those close to Raila Odinga, it is important that we note that Orengo is normally used by Raila for two different objectives. Sometimes a politician simply wants to test the waters, to provoke the other side. James Orengo has been used a lot by Baba for that particular purpose. And you see, when you're just sending out feelers, when you're trying to test the waters, you're not yet serious. Now, the other way he has been used, very rarely in the past, is to deliver a serious message. I believe his remarks in Luo Nyanza over the weekend were this second kind. A very serious message was being delivered. This is not testing the waters. This is not sending out feelers. You know what makes this situation even more scary is the fact that both sides have something to benefit if the handshake ends. Oh yes. The terrible, horrible truth is that both sides, in the handshake, would benefit greatly if the handshake ended. Of course, the ordinary people of Kenyans would not. But both political sides of the handshake would benefit. And here's how. And let's start with ODM. Now, it is not a secret that the Jubilee Party is in a mess. Okay? This particular administration has caused a lot of suffering in Kenya. Yeah, it has been a total mess. Now, what is happening more and more in the public eye? ODM and Raila Odinga are being associated with this mess. In the clip I played you earlier, you must have noticed that Orengo went to great pains to explain that ODM is not part of government. And if Raila Odinga were to vie for the presidency in 2022, it would be very easy for his political opponents to pose the question, you are in government, what did you do? What are you now going to do as president that you didn't do during the handshake? And yet you are so powerful. Oh yes, we can expect that kind of narrative. And it is powerful, effective narrative that can lose somebody votes. The handshake ends now, that goes away. It vanishes. And in fact, the narrative will change to so messy was the Jubilee government. Even Raila Odinga, by joining it, could do nothing. It was too late. And of course, if the handshake ends, BBI ends. And contrary to the propaganda you've been fed with, that has absolutely no effect politically on Raila Odinga or ODM. The people who will lose big time are the ordinary citizens of Kenya. Yeah, because we have an election coming in 2022. It will be hotly contested. We have not addressed the issue of 2017, the issues of 2017. Indeed, the main issue. Anyway, Jubilee would also benefit. You see, Jubilee have a problem. As Uhuru Kenyatta leaves the presidency, the house of Mumbi and very powerful people within the house of Mumbi are very jittery. Some of these characters are big investors, who have had a say, they've had influence over the last almost 20 years on government. From the days of the Kibaki administration, 10 years, and even now into the Uhuru administration, which is coming to an end. They have had influence, and they have known if push comes to shove, they can get things done. They can save their businesses. But now, with President Uhuru exiting power, they're very frightened. What will happen? There's so much uncertainty. And when you've invested billions, you have good reason to be worried. And as far as ordinary members of the House of Mumbi are concerned, they have even bigger problems. Because the issue of the Rift Valley is still not settled. Those with investments and small businesses in the region are wondering what will become of them after Uhuru Kenyatta exits from power. Even those without investments, who have always known the Rift Valley as their home, their great-grandfathers migrated there, are worried. And so one very important thing President Uhuru Kenyatta has to do as he exits the presidency is to ensure that the future of members of House of Mumbi in the Rift Valley and indeed everywhere in Kenya is secure. It is not a secret that the community suffered greatly during the 24-year rule of the late Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi as president. Nobody wants to go back to that situation. So I think now you understand. And I believe you have a bit of sympathy, or a lot of sympathy, for our brethren, our brothers and sisters who belong to the House of Mumbi. Bottom line, the priority in the House of Mumbi is to secure the future, not the BBI, as good as it is, in my view. And you see, the Kikuyu community have always been programmed to fear Raila Odinga. They have always been programmed to oppose Raila Odinga. And those feelings have been there since independence. They're very difficult to wipe away in an instance. Put bluntly, with no handshake, with Raila out of the way, it will be easier for the house of Mumbi to put the house in order. Much easier. Yeah, so you can see that even the Jubilee side has a strong motive to end the handshake. And there's more. What Orengo was referring to, but didn't say bluntly, avoided saying, but what is being whispered in the corridors, is that some members of the inner circle, deep state if you like, of the president, are very determined to sabotage the handshake, to end it, for the reasons I've just given you concerning the future of the House of Mumbi. You know, when most people hear deep state, they think of goons, with big guns. They think of violence. But the truth is, the deep state also has thinkers. People who tweak things. People who cause a small incident to happen that has huge ramifications, which meet the objectives. Let me give you an example from Kenyan history. Bear with me. And this example will illustrate perfectly what we may be dealing with here. There was a man based in Mombasa who was called Ibrahim Akasha. Oh yes, that's the founder of the Akasha drug empire. His sons were hauled off to the US and stood trial in New York about 2 years ago. Now, Ibrahim Akasha started off selling arms, small weapons, guns in the region. And of course, to do a business like this, you need a partner at the highest level of the Kenyan government. There is no way an ordinary citizen can be a gun runner. How? It is against the law. But then he ran into problems. Some powerful cartels within the Moi government started doing the same business. And he found himself many times in conflict. And so he changed his business and started dealing with madawa ya kulevya. And Akasha found that business even better. And it thrived. And within no time, he was a multi-billionaire in dollar terms, US dollar terms, not Kenya shillings. And he was invisible. Very few people knew him. Even fewer had seen a photograph of him or what he looked like. Now, take careful note of the fact that this invisibility was crucial to his success in the business he was doing. You can't fight a ghost. You can't fight an enemy who you don't even know how they look like. They're just in the shadows, in the background. All you see are the spanner boys, watu wa mkono. So one day, Akasha made a terrible, lethal, fatal mistake that at first did not appear to be like a mistake. A police officer, newly transferred to Mombasa, who didn't have an inkling of kunaendanga aje, came onto the scene and had an encounter with Akasha's boys. Akasha was furious, and he was also arrogant because he was very powerful and he knew it. Just to give you a glimpse, Akasha had heavily financed the Moi presidential election in 1992. He was untouchable, very close to President Moi, very close to the most powerful man in the land. Where could you possibly take him? So one day, in his arrogance, he decided to teach this small policeman a lesson. So they kidnapped him. I believe they took him over to his house in Nyali. And they harassed him, beat him up, tortured him. In short, showed him a lesson. Showed him who is boss. And the police officer, a nobody, a mere police officer, left the Akasha residence, yeah, understanding very well who was boss and where not to go in his duties as a police officer. Remember, I'm trying to illustrate just how smart the deep state can be sometimes, even in Kenya, and how they can even frustrate and bring down the president's closest friends. Oh yes, this is a perfect example. So after this police officer left Nyali, wounded, that story reached the deep state, at least a section of it, and somebody was very furious. Yes, this man is close to the president, but this is unacceptable. We must do something about it. And so this is what they did. You know, as powerful as you may be as a president, you can't be everywhere. So this section of the deep state organized for Akasha to be arrested, yeah, and charged in a court of law with drug trafficking. And the charge sheet was prepared. The man was arrested with zero evidence. He appeared in court, and predictably, yeah, because everybody was saying this is a waste of time, and they were right, not knowing what the objective was. So predictably, he appeared in court, and even the judge wondered, what's going on? There's no evidence here. Yes, this is the charge sheet. There's zero evidence. Why is somebody wasting the court's time? And he was acquitted. He was freed. But something had changed. The ghost was no longer a ghost. People now knew exactly who Ibrahim Akasha was. They knew what his face looked like. It was splashed all over the newspapers in Kenya. You know, there's a saying in Kiswahili, maziwa ikimwagika aizoleki. If you pour milk on the tarmac, you cannot gather it up, pick it up again, and return it in the bucket. It's too late. You've already poured the milk. And so, even if it was you, you're a president, and you're close to this guy, and you know what kind of business he's doing, immediately something like this happens, you want to distance yourself as much as possible from that person. Yes, they're your great friend. They've done you huge favors. Maybe they even saved your presidency. But so what? This is politics. To cut a very long story short, that was the beginning of the end of Ibrahim Akasha. A very small thing, being arrested and appearing in court with zero evidence, but it exposed him. Things were never the same again. In the same way, yeah, the deep state on both sides of the political divide in this handshake can do small things, things which look insignificant, that could abruptly end the handshake. That is the greatest fear for those who love peace and for those who understand what the handshake has done for Kenya. Now, if you've enjoyed my video, please remember to give me a like. I really appreciate it. And please subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. Yeah, we are very close to reaching 100,000 subscribers. So please help me. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.